Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. This is a weekly show where brands watch other brands' ads.
You can't just say, oh, more women, please. And then actually, as soon as they come to the website, it's very much non-inclusive.
Yes, ROI is important, but we're trying to tell stories here with this one, literally in this case.
So that is something which I guess a big insight which has driven this communication, and it has made it a very impactful, I would say.
My name is Tom Ollerton. I'm the founder of Automated Creative, and we're brought to you as ever by Contagious, who helped us choose the ad this week. But before we see the ad, let's meet this week's guests.
Hi, I'm Ella, VP of Data at WeTransfer.
Hi, I'm Nick, Head of Social and Content at One Green Bean Havas.
Hi, I'm Surya. I'm from Osterberger, India team, lead digital and media for the organization.
Hi, I'm Richard. I am the UK Media and Content Director at Mars Confectionery.
What a panel, and also what an ad. Let's have a look at it.
By the number of victims that he targeted, it wasn't just one child or two children, it was hundreds of children.
Her nose was bleeding profusely.
I was led into the house and I was met with another two guys, one with a handmade pistol, another one with a machete.
Turns out, Trader T was right. Australia's second most popular podcast was more than a podcast. As serious crime evolves, the Australian Federal Police, or AFP, require diverse and diversely skilled recruits to keep a step ahead. But law enforcement is considered a dated and male-dominated industry by the very candidates the AFP need. So, rather than using the traditional recruitment comms, which this audience were tuning out of, we identified a place they were actively tuning in: true crime podcasts. Crime Interrupted was a recruitment campaign in disguise. Presented by popular true crime podcast team Casefile, this 6-part podcast series opened the vault on some of the AFP's most notorious criminal cases and showed how a diverse range of skills were instrumental in stopping them.
We had 100 plus staff and police working just to try and bring the syndicate down at the time.
Jimmy sensed an element of gamification about the way Michael approached his victims.
And then when I confirmed the origin of those two ladies, I started speaking my own language.
Who would have thought that ordering pineapple on pizza on a PayPal account could bring the AFP closer to the offender?
Crime Interrupted had potential recruits tuning in for over an hour every week, turning chart-topping entertainment into effective recruitment.
What marks would you give this out of 5? 1, 2, 3?
I think 3.5.
A 3, a 3, a 3.5, and a 4. Ella, powerful video. Can you help us understand what's going on outside of the story we were told here?
The AFP was trying to attract more diverse talents to the workforce. And the way they did it was to run a series of true crime podcasts. And so I listened to a few, and basically it's like a real crime that they explain what happened and how they caught the bad guys. And then in the last minute, they say, if you think you can help us solve these cases, why don't you look at a career at the AFP?
For me, this one really struck a positive chord because I think the insight that it is trying to tap into, where people have that ability to be a detective or that ability to have an inquisitive mind, is relatively untapped. So the fact that that was the kind of the way in for this one, it really impressed me. I mean, how often do you sit on the sofa next to your partner and say, oh, you'd be good at that. You could have figured that out. And I think what this managed to do was to cleverly and subtly get you to the end of an episode and then push you forward into a potential career here. I was really impressed overall.
It's just a natural fit. It works really well. I don't think there's many brands that could pull off something quite like this, just in terms of the natural fit between the AFP and a crime podcast. It's so consumer first. They've tapped into the insights around growth in podcasts, growth in audio. They knew that they had an engaged audience through that genre already being a top 3 genre in podcasts. They found the right people and they delivered a message to them, which sometimes can sound quite simple, but can often be quite difficult to do.
The one thing which I like about this, that the selection of their platform. So they have selected, the podcast, somewhere, if you look at their task, what they wanted to achieve, they wanted to, get into the mind of the diverse set of people, move from, men to women also. At the same time, they're exploring something in terms of diverse skill set. And when you are on a podcast, you get into the imagination, right? You don't have anything visual to look at. So you get into the picture, you start somewhere, thinking about self in some kind of role. So that is something which I guess a big insight which has driven this communication, and it has made it a very impactful, I would say.
What would you have preferred to see here, Ella?
First of all, I didn't find it very clear what kind of diversity they were looking for. Suggested that they wanted more women, but then was it also diverse skill set? I think that wasn't super clear what they were really going for. And then I thought, okay, so if that's your goal to make your workforce more diverse, let's look into what you actually do to do that. I went to the official AFP website and it says, quote, if you are fit and healthy, motivated and resilient, a career at AFP can present you with opportunities. And I'm like, fit and healthy? I mean, I don't know. Is that very inclusive? I feel like, I'm not very fit. Does that mean I can't have a career at the AFP? The other thing I did is ran their job descriptions. I just took a random one through some kind of analysis tool, and all of their job descriptions are very masculine coded. So I'm like, if you really want to be diverse, you need to follow through. You can't just say, oh, more women, please. And then actually, as soon as they come to the website, it's very much non-inclusive.
Do you think there would be a positive ROI with those numbers?
I'm sure you could run a 15-second ad or a 30-second ad that you might get more hits to the website. That might even generate more applications. But what this campaign, I think, has done quite cleverly is over the course of those hour-long episodes, is it's painted a really insightful, detailed example of what the police force working on these cases went through. That gives you a really detailed experience of what it might actually be like to be a detective. So therefore, I think you could argue that the 40% increase in female applications as a result of this, they're going to be pretty highly pre-qualified in a way that you're not going to get necessarily from a broadcast ad. I think there's definitely a place for both types of those. And I saw on some of the social posts that supported this campaign that there were cut downs that pushed people both to the podcast and to the AFP website itself. I think you have to be really careful when you're coming in and pitching ideas like this to a client that, yes, ROI is important, but we're trying to tell stories here with this one, literally in this case. And the value of that is not to be underestimated.
And I think in terms of the ROI perspective, I actually think you have to think about this in terms of performance recruitment and how are you being super targeted in reaching those right people, which again, the layers of targeting that you'd have to put into on social, I don't even think that you can necessarily get to as close to targeting as you're getting through the podcasting.
What I think is interesting, though, is I think that this campaign might have really helped the image of the police. And I think it can be quite tough to have a campaign that really helps with the image of the police and displays it as being more diverse. And I think that could have a really interesting impact. And I think they have failed to measure that.
Are they sensationalizing the stuff that doesn't really represent the majority of policing?
Yeah. I actually think that the British Army have done a really good job in the past couple of years of showing the more down-to-earth jobs, the behind-the-scene jobs, and basically trying to show that the skills that you have can be used in the army and that you don't need to be a soldier on the front line to be part of the army. There are a load of other jobs in the army, from an engineer to being a training specialist, or this probably does dramatize it and makes it entertainment rather than day to day. So it'd be interesting to see what the leads are that do come through from this show.
What would the industry learn from this execution?
One good learning, I would say, because it's highly engaging. It's a good content, I must say. It's a good way of bringing people in the journey, giving them a chance to experience it through audio, I would say, not a visual, but audio way, and try to see that, yes, at least it shows that people are interested, right? Maybe they're not of quality, but they're interested. That momentum might continue in the future also for other segments who might be qualified to get into that one.
So unfortunately, we're at the end of the episode. So what I'm going to do is get you to thumbs up or thumbs down on whether you would sign off this campaign in its current form. 1, 2, 3. Whoa. Okay. Well, there you have it. AFP. Thank you so much to our guests, and we'll see you all next week.